Good morning.
Good morning. We are live. I always have to search the screen to look for the live button. I'm like, am I live? Am I allowed to pick my nose yet? No. Okay, later. Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
In modern times,
Well,
you can pick your nose whenever you want.
damn it. I can do whatever I want. Free will.
Hey, and
Uh,
it would probably get us the most views ever. The episode that
Probably. Right.
Graciela
Never
picks.
mind me waxing poetic for, 3 years or whatever. It's fine. It'll come down to the one stupid thing that I do. It's perfect. My legacy is secured. Excellent. Oh my goodness. Well, I know you're dying for the weather update. It feels like 10 degrees today, so very exciting.
I always say, as long as the temperature is above zero, I'm okay. Once it starts to dip below zero, that's when I start to get a little like,
I
don't
don't
think
know
I'm
that
going
I've ever
outside.
been in I don't think I've ever been in below zero. But I'm fairly convinced that if you walk outside, your eyeballs just freeze instantly.
No,
So I'll probably never be in that situation. Yeah, never.
Trust me, that does not happen. I've been there. But yeah, below zero, like it gets where it's like uncomfortable. Above zero, I feel like above zero, there is enough clothes, there is enough things to keep you feeling okay. Oh, so Pam is up in Michigan at the moment, and she's saying a cold good morning. There feels like temperature there is 7. So,
Good
um,
morning. Yeah, I don't know. The algorithm has been feeding me videos of people knocking like massive amounts of snow off their roofs and things like that. And I'm like, man, I can't believe that's real. Like, again, I always go back. I can't believe someone was discovering America and wandered into this, frozen tundra and thought, this is a great idea. Let's settle here. I'm like, no wonder half of, the colonists died. Like, this shit's cold. I'm not going to get over it. I'm just not. I'm trying. I'm trying to make it not be a thing, but it's absolutely a thing. Yeah. So,
and there's people that they live in Canada, they live in Alaska, they live in Siberia,
less than,
and
less than.
yeah. So it's, I don't know. It's what did our ancestors think? And now, like, modern technology allows us basically to live wherever we want to live because we modify the environment so that it's comfortable. And sometimes I think it's turning us all into a bunch of handsies because I think about my days as a kid in the winter and going out ice skating and sledding and building snowmen, and we didn't have all this high-tech gear. I didn't have, now I go home, and if we're going to be outside in the cold, I get some of those, hand warmers, pocket warmers. And so everything, I'm like, we didn't have those when I was a kid. Like, we just toughed it up. And I think, I feel like I read somewhere a story where basically like all of us humans are turning into, fragile little beings, and soon we won't be able to inhabit the earth because we've become too fragile.
I don't
But
know.
I
Would
just
that be a
keep
bad
drinking that
thing? I don't
cacao, and
know. I
the
mean, it's
potential
okay.
reset.
Yeah, exactly. I have like no qualms about like humanity dying off. Like, it's okay. I don't think it's necessary that human beings live forever. It's fine. I think we're part of
It's
the system. And when the system
it's
resets,
happened
the system resets.
before. It's happened before. We'll reset again in the future. It's all gonna be
Everything's gonna be fine.
fine. And I'm like, and that's going into like a really deep conversational episode that I don't know. My brain is ready to have at this time of day. Um, so, did you do anything exciting over the weekend?
Well, I mean, you know, Christmas time and whatnot, which it's, interesting because we kind of like play at Christmas, so like here, let's see if I can show you guys a little bit more. I got my pretty little tree back there. So,
Is it real or is
um,
it artificial?
No, it's real. I love having like a real tree in the house. I just love having living things in the house. And if you don't water it for a bit, you can smell the pine a little bit better. But it's thriving. It's doing really well, and I'm gonna leave it up till it keels over. So yeah, that part's been fun. I don't know. I don't think I did anything exciting last weekend, but I can tell you that this weekend on Saturday, I'm having the closing reception for my gallery exhibit at the Cherokee County Arts Council. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to do a interactive kind of activation with folks that attend. So it'll be kind of fun and cool and not just listening to me yammer on for a bit. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That's really exciting. How about you?
Yeah. So, well, it wasn't on the weekend, but Christmas Eve, we went to the new Avatar movie. And those that know me know the first Avatar movie, like basically I sat and bawled my eyes out through the entire movie because, I think it was probably like 4 years before that movie came out. I was visited by some blue beings and who have since become just a normal, regular part of my life. But back then, like when I would ask people that I felt like it was safe for me to ask this person, hey, do you know anything about blue beings? And I just happened to see them the other day. And but when Avatar came out, I was just like, oh my God, James Cameron, he has to have seen the blue beings. Like, there's no way he could have created all that and not have seen them. And then just Pandora, I was like homesick. I was like, that's more like home, not this earth thing here that just is so, ugh. I'm like, Pandora, that is more like home. And like riding the banshees, like I've always believed that dragons are real. I know that I've ridden dragons in a past life. And it was like, yeah, the riding a banshee is just like riding a dragon. And how when they intertwine I'll call them their tails, but it was like what they're feeling, how they connect with other people, how they connect with the trees. Like that's how like my everyday normal life feels. Like when I'm working with a client and I have my hands on them, like that's what I'm like, all of this, like it just makes so much sense for me and is so, yes. And so, they made us wait and wait and wait forever to get the second, and then here comes the third. And so of course I have to go to it. And yes, there were a lot of cool things, but it was very like heartbreaking to me how much violence is in that movie. And like when we're connecting to, the Pandora and the life of the Na'vi, like that's what I'm like going to the movies for, is to like be in that world and experience that. But then they throw all this violence in there, and it's like 3 hours of severe violence, and then fire. And like this year has been a year of like healing the fire element within me and being able to view it as the the power of transformation, the power of passion, light, like all of those things. And here in this movie, fire is just the force of destruction. And I was like, I'm like, why did they do this to this movie? And James Cameron, because I'm sure James Cameron is listening to this episode, right? Whatever, the next Avatar movie, like more love and light, please, please. That's all I'm asking. But it really got me into this mode of like, there is in all of these like spiritual movies, it's always like the battle of good versus evil. And I'm like, no, it's not. So I'm asking out there, anybody who's got good recommendations for movies that feel good, that don't have violence in them, like send them my way. I've had my fill of violent movies, I feel like, for a lifetime after watching that movie.
Sounds like you need the Hallmark Channel ASAP.
Except for I don't really like most Hallmark movies either because they're just a little too, I don't know, fake, but whatever.
So sweet without syrup. Is that what you're saying? Sweet without the syrupy.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, something, I don't know. But
You might want to stick to like nature documentaries or something like that. Like something narrated by that David Attenborough guy or something like that. Those feel nice. Something with Morgan Freeman in it just makes you like really sink into his voice. Yeah. James Cameron is trying to make money. And so, yes, violence equals ticket sales equals money. So yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less. Yeah. But it is interesting, all the different places that he pulls from for those movies. I know there's a lot of indigenous influence in some of the actions that the characters take and their rituals and things like that. And it's really interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, send your recommendations, and I spend a lot of time on Gaia TV, and definitely a lot more heart-filling content on that channel. So anyway.
Yeah.
So,
all good.
Yes.
Well, it's December 30th. It's time to look into next year. Planning, creating, I don't know, what's creating for 2026.
So, well, in the topic that I brought up today is, being in that in-between state. And I feel like it's especially relevant right now because, we're leaving 2025, which is completion. We're going into 2026, which is new beginnings and manifestation. We're, from the Chinese calendar, we're, yes, I know that happens a little bit later next year, but it's getting close to the end of this year of the snake, which was shedding and moving into our fire horse. But what sometimes we forget when we're shedding and we're getting rid of what doesn't serve us, and that has us moving into something new. But there's that space in between where you're not quite you haven't quite stepped into the new, and so you're leaving the old behind. You've purged your layers, shed what no longer serves you, but there's that space in between. And a little bit of me is like, winter is that perfect space because it is kind of like the time when you can hibernate, hunker down, rest, recharge. But we modern society is all about instant gratification, and we really need to relearn how to rest and be patient and allow the reset to happen. And I look back over the years of all of the transitions and versions of me that have existed, and there are times where you're in that space of unknown and you don't quite know who you are yet. You're not who you were, but you're sitting in that in-between space, and you can feel lost, it can feel scary, it can feel sad, grief, like so many emotions can live in that space. And us, we're all about feel your feels, like allow yourself to feel those things. And I just kind of wanted to put it out there, like this is a normal experience, and you're not alone in that, and know that it's normal and it's okay. And that transition, it will happen, and it will, it's almost like a flower blossoming. It's not like it's closed and then it's instantly open. It's this gradual process of opening and each little petal unfurling in its time. And after some time, then you see the final product. What are your thoughts on this, Graciela? And I'm thinking about you two in this huge transition that you've made. And I'm sure that it didn't happen overnight. Like, yes, one day you were living in Florida and the next day you were living in North Carolina, but there's a transition there, and I would expect that you're still in that transition process, especially since you lived your whole life down here in Florida. And now, at least from my perspective, like when I moved to Florida, I was like, this is a huge culture shock. And so I'm sure for someone who lived their whole life in Florida, leaving, it's a huge culture shock and a lot of, I don't know, acclimation. What do you got?
First, I just want to speak to the calendar, because you talked about calendar. And I will say that the longer I live, the more I'm interested in a different kind of calendar, the seasonal calendar, you know, where winter is a time for hibernation and spring is the time of rebirth. And so that has really been very present for me. And I'm sure it's because I'm living here, and I'm sure it's because the world, like my world here, truly is so seasonal. And I've never experienced a society like that, because born and raised South Florida, there is no change. Like, what I do in the spring is the same thing that I do in the winter. It's the same thing I do in the summer. It doesn't matter. The train is always moving. And here it's different, like even how events are scheduled, what people will show up to, what time they want to be home, things like that. So it's kind of, it's almost forced. Like, yes, of course, if you want to go out to eat, you know, dinner, you can in the winter. I'm not saying you can't, but there's just so much more going on in other seasons. And it's the first time I see like society reflected in nature. And I know that to everyone, you know, north of the Mason-Dixon line, this is normal for you. I get that. I hear it, like Pam from Michigan going, yeah, seasons, obviously. I get that. But remember, born and raised Caribbean girl, this is new to me. So as far as like seasonality and that in-between phase, I very much feel that right now, like this, it's almost like suspended time, you know, particularly these 2 weeks that the kids aren't in school. You know, I don't have to wake up at, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning. I can wake up at 8 or something like that and still do my day. So even that feels, you know, a little more restful than usual, you know, to just remove some of that hecticness out of the day. And I say hectic, like country hectic, like it ain't that hectic, but and then, you know, it's transitions. So it's funny because I saw a meme the other day that said, we have convinced ourselves that healing is an era, meaning a specific period of time, as opposed to a lifelong journey. And that concept has always been one that has struck me so hard, because we raise our kids saying, okay, you got to do real good in kindergarten because first grade's a really big deal. And so you finish kindergarten and then you're going to first grade and it's like the clock resets. Like now you have something bigger to achieve. Great. Then you do first grade, second grade. Now you got to go into middle school. Middle school is going to be different. It's going to be scary. And so at each step, you know, not only is there you have to achieve something, but the next step is going to be really, really scary and you better be ready. And then when you finish that, it's like, good job. Here's the next mountain. And you're like, Jesus, when does it end? Right. And so why don't we teach that we're always in transition, that there's always something moving, that there's always something new and different and, you know, some mountain to climb or whatnot. And not, like you were saying earlier, like, why is everything good versus evil? Why is it achieving versus not achieving? Why is it, I don't know, you know, trying hard, working towards something? Like, what is all this battle language that we're constantly using? Like, let's just talk about flow. Like, let's flow from one event to the other. Let's flow from one life transition to the other. Why does it have to be the death of your marriage or the birth of your future? Or, right? Like, what's with the stop and the start? It's a lie. There is no stop and start. There's always flow. Like, many, many times in my life, I have wanted to just pull over, stop the train, get out. You know, I achieved this thing. Now just give me a break. And there is no break. There's no break, you know? Thanks, Pam, honey. Thinking about like the journey of getting pregnant. Okay, getting pregnant, we just have to hit this hurdle. And then you hit the hurdle and it's like, okay, now you're pregnant. That's a whole separate thing. Got to stay pregnant. Got to make sure you're healthy. Eat the this, eat the that. Don't eat the this, don't eat the that, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, I'm going to give birth and I no longer have to worry about being pregnant. And then you're like, shit, I have 2 human beings I have to keep alive and make them into good people. Like that's a big thing, right? So yeah, respect the transition, and just flow through it. And yes, every my whole life has been transitions. Like I could name 1,000 transitions to you, moving here, starting a business, ending a business, getting a new lease, I mean, anything, right? It's like, I'm sick of myself already. But I think the key to survival is realizing that it's the journey. It's not the destination, it's how do you get through the life that you have in front of you, which does have an expiration date at some point, and do it with grace and joy and, excitement. And the parts that suck, let them suck. And like you said, we're all about feeling the feels. Let it be true. Let it be honest, So this morning I was listening to Alanis Morissette talking about anger. She became the face of anger, the representative for anger in the 90s, because of the first song that she came out with. And I'll never forget, like the first time I heard You Ought to Know, I forget who I was sitting with, but they were like, man, that girl's pissed, like, and it was such a good thing. And she's like, I don't mind anger. She goes, the problem is that we associate anger with violence, destruction, and terrible things. She goes, but anger is at the root of change. Anger is at the root of activism. Anger is at the root of boundary setting and healthy choices and things like that. So anger is not so bad, just don't dwell in it and don't destroy things while you're at it, right? So feel the feels, do the things, go through the transition, and make it soft. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's my advice. Make it soft.
Give yourself grace. And we say this all the time, but I feel like it can never be said enough, because modern life, we were already isolating ourselves, and then the pandemic came along and like taught us to isolate ourselves even more, and to fear each other more because you might give me some deadly disease. And the truth is that humans are not meant to go through these things alone. We're meant to exist in community and family. And if you find yourself struggling in any stage of your transformation, reach out to a friend. And if you don't have a friend, reach out to us. And, because that's what creating this ministry has been about, is creating community and creating safe space. And I think that it's become so normal for, I think, social media. Maybe that comedia, that's a new word there. But social media has like really programmed people to, they're always putting their best face forward and, posting all their successes, and, kind of teaching us that it's not okay to be not perfect. It's not okay to not be happy all the time. It's not okay to not be succeeding all the time. When the truth is, it's completely normal for us to have, imperfect lives and not being happy all the time. And we really need to share that with each other, because even one person who's going through something uncomfortable, just knowing that they're not alone in that, there's relief in that itself. And then also there are times when you're going through something difficult, but someone else isn't, and they can hold space for you in that moment, give you a hug or some words of encouragement or whatever. Just listen, whatever it is that's needed. And so I think whatever you're going through, whether it's a transition, whether it's a loss, whether it's, I don't know, anything, like, reach out to other people and receive support, because that's how it's meant to be.
And I'll say, if that, because there's different levels, right? Like talking to your friend, talking to a stranger, talking in a group, talking in a group of strangers, right? Like these are different levels of existence, right? And how you show up. And I'll say, level one is go be with a tree, like you were saying, come be with us and come be here and come be there. And yes, number one, I love that. And also, if you can't, for whatever reason, go be with a tree, dude. You are not alone. Like, go sit outside for a little while. And there is so much there. Like, there's so much to process and to be. And, I remember, gosh, when I was in high school, during those trauma years, I would go, you're going to laugh when I say this, but I would go sit at the beach, not on the beach, not in the sand, but across from the beach where I could sit with the ocean. I have a long-standing problem with sand. But I would just sit out at the beach, and just that in and of itself was so incredibly healing, and there's books, there's podcasts, there's movies, there's 1,000 ways that you can see that there are people living your exact life, and then the other thing I'll say, there's a little bit off topic, but stay with me. I had a photo shoot recently, and the pictures are specifically done to go onto my website. And there's a one of my subjects was like, "Oh, I have this little flaw, but I don't know if you should Photoshop it or not." And part of me really wants to, leave it as is because it's who I am, and I want other people to know it's okay. And part of me is like, I really want you to Photoshop it because I don't like it, And so it started a conversation in our little group. And, one person was like, well, it's really important for other people to see that, we're not perfect, right? Like, what a great service to the world that would be. And then I said, well, let me play devil's advocate and say that you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. If you are not ready to share, if you are not ready to put your stuff out there because that doesn't feel good to you, don't force it. Like, you don't have to burn yourself at the stake so that other people can stay warm. There's a lot of different ways to show up in a way that feels good for everybody, right? And still feels supportive. And also you get to be wherever you're at. You know what I mean? So go be amongst the trees. If you don't feel like walking outside, if you don't feel like being with people, that's okay. Like, you don't have to force yourself to be in community. Go sit with a tree for a while. After a while, you'll be like, okay, the tree has filled me up. I'm ready for my next level. Let me go hang out with one friend. Let me hang out with two friends. And you take it little by little. I think I've told the story of the sandwich. Someone was talking to a therapist and they were like in such deep depression that they didn't want to make a sandwich. And the therapist was like, don't make the sandwich. What if you just ate a slice of bread? And then 5 minutes later, you ate a piece of ham. And then 5 minutes later, you ate a slice of cheese. Can you do that? And they were like, well, yeah, because then I don't have to make the sandwich. And she's like, exactly. Don't make the sandwich, So again, in the theme of winter and the theme of resting, you don't have to make the sandwich. Just do what you got to do. Does that make sense?
But I make the bread.
How is your bread?
Then my sourdough. My sourdough. Oh my God. I'm getting good. Like, it's getting to the point where I'm almost ready to start gifting the loaves. The last loaf, I was like, yes, finally. It came out so beautiful, so perfect. So, but you do it once and then it's like, can I replicate it? So if I get the replication here, I will be making bread for everybody and they can eat it or they can make a sandwich out of it, whatever makes them happy. But a good sourdough with butter on it, oh my God.
You can make it the surprise bread, and that way, if it doesn't turn out, you didn't promise it to anybody. But if it does turn out, yay, it's a surprise. So, Julietta's surprise bread for 2026. Will you be a recipient? Who knows?
But it's been interesting too, seeing the culture around sourdough bread making. And you said your algorithm is full of snow falling. Mine knows that I'm baking bread, and so there's like bread popping up everywhere. But it's been fun too, like connecting with other breadies. And there's been a request for me to bring bread to the retreat now. That's a lot of pressure.
Ooh, nice.
Maybe. But like it's definitely been interesting to be able to connect with people around bread. And my point is just that you can connect to people around anything. And
food being the most basic, right? I mean, food being the original reason to, right? Food and fire. That's a cool idea for a retreat. Food and fire. I like that. Write that down.
We'll start planning that. But yeah.
I was going to ask you, apparently, and because I do get, I'm on the sourdough algorithm as well. I don't participate in it, but I think I've liked too many videos. So now I get it all the time. And apparently you're supposed to name your starter, I guess, the one that you feed and whatnot. Did you name yours?
Well, it was so funny because I've sat in this space where, so I got my sourdough. I didn't start my own, like someone gifted me some of their starter. And so there was this moment where I was like, the starter already has a name. But then I was like, no, that name doesn't really connect with me. So I think I need to rename give mine my own name. And like, I should have had that conversation with the person that gifted it to me. And the truth is, no, I have not given mine a name yet. But, and it's probably going to sound crazy, but I feel like I need to sit with the starter and let the starter tell me its name. So it's on the agenda.
You could also take some requests, like y'all can put it in the comments. What should Julietta name her starter? I love this.
Yes, what should I name my starter? I'm open to suggestions, but I feel a little bit like it's going to be like, when I got my cat, his name was Oscar when I got him. And I took one look at him and I'm like, you are not an Oscar. And I would even call Oscar and he wouldn't look. And so the first night I'm sitting there with him and I'm just like saying random names to him, like waiting for a response. And when I said Merlin, he turned and looked at me and I was like, oh, your name is Merlin. How appropriate. And so I don't know how. I might do the same thing with the sourdough. I'll just be sitting there like spelling out names and I'm going to say one and it's like a bubble is going to pop and explode as I say it. I'm that's your name. Okay.
I love it. I can't wait to hear what it is. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure everybody's going to be like sitting on their edge of their seat waiting for what is the name of Julietta's sourdough.
You're going to need like a sourdough baby shower or something, like a christening, a naming event or something like that. I don't know. We have to invite people over and be like, let me introduce you to my baby sourdough. She's so cute. Does she even have a gender? Is it a she? I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know why, but I'm sure there are people that will argue this. I feel like sourdough starters are she's, but because they're.
I mean, they do birth more sourdough, right?
So, yeah, which is a creation is a feminine trait. But I guess it also does where we could look at it either way, but I don't know. I'm sticking with feminine, so we'll see.
Who knows? This may turn into a sourdough podcast. There probably is a sourdough podcast. There's probably
100% am certain there is. But no, I'm not turning this into the sourdough podcast. 100% no.
There's some good metaphors in there. I love it.
Anyway, I think we've talked out the you're not lost, you're in between versions of yourself. And So we do have a little announcement today, or a big announcement today. And so I'll let you speak, Graciela.
Yeah, without further ado. So, speaking of transitions and endings and beginnings and flowing and things like that, this is officially going to be my last episode with Julietta on the podcast. Nothing terrible, nothing bad has happened. Don't make a big story in your head. I still love Julietta. Julietta still loves me. I'm just going to take a sabbatical. So winter is hitting me and menopause is hitting me, and all of these things are telling me that it's time to take a break and slow down and see what's next. So I am very excited to are we announcing a replacement?
Um, no, let's
Not
keep
yet.
them hanging. Let's keep them hanging.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You'll have to
Okay.
tune in to find out. You'll have to tune in to find out. But
There you go.
what I love about this too is, like, this is also the perfect example for our listeners about, like, you tuning in and honoring you. And it's been like, I've seen this whole transition, and I knew it was going to be a big deal for you to move your whole life up there, and what all of that entails. And but just you being able to honor yourself, and some of this was, you were the one that stepped up when I was like, now what am I going to do? Allison can't continue on the show, and here Graciela swoops in to save the day. And but also me coming in and being like, thank you for doing that, so much appreciated, and this has been so much fun. And I also honor that, like, you need to focus your energies some other directions right now. And you know this is the last episode for now. Who knows what happens? Maybe a guest on the show once in a while, make a guest appearance.
Yeah.
Or like you said, it's a sabbatical and time to see what happens. Things might change, and all of a sudden, like, you've got massive, huge messages to share with the world again. And
Exactly. What I
we bring you back. We bring you back. So,
Yeah. I kind of feel like that hibernation time. And I don't know if you've seen that video. There's a video of a bear coming out of hibernation, and it's got its hair all wacky, and it's like this, and it's coming out starving. So, who knows what the future will bring. I mean, I'm obviously very much still a part of the ministry. Like, again, do not jump to conclusions. I'm very much still a part of everything. I am just going to take a little step back and turn into a fan again on the podcast, so that I can listen and watch and learn and hear new things. And I'm excited for however that unfolds. It evolves, the flow. Again, this soft, curvy language of leaning into what feels good, even if it feels uncomfortable, but you just know it's the right thing. And that's kind of where I'm at, is like, yeah, of course, I'm a commitment person, I'm a loyal person, and part of me feels like, oh man, don't do that. But part of me really feels like this is the time for me to do what I need to do. And not to put too much pressure on you, but I really feel like it could be the Julietta show for a bit. I feel like it's time for you too. I know my transition forces a transition on you, and I apologize if you weren't ready, but that sourdough's got to be fed. And, I think you're going to step into something really amazing here. And if you end up with, this other person as a co-host, then phenomenal. I love you, and I'm so excited for that person. And if you decide to do some stuff on your own and step into what that looks like, I'm even more excited for you. So all good things, all with love, all coming from very good places.
yeah. No, and I I know there is transition happening. There's always transition happening, but that has been, well, it's been my whole adult life. That, like, it's always that inner knowing that things are changing, things are to come. And I know within my own space and what the ministry looks like, what my healing practice looks like, what my offerings look like. I I do have this big sense that um, there is something big shifting, and um, I I'm honestly going to say, like, I love sitting in the space of the unknown, not having expectations, not trying to force something. Like, I'm just in that space of being open, listening, receiving, and who knows what's to come. Like, being in the excitement of the unknown. And yes, it can be a little scary, but I've also, over the course of, like, the last 10 years, like, really, really gotten comfortable in the uncomfort, in that uncomfortable space. Like, there, it's almost like I crave that, and I search for that, because it feels really good to be in the unknown, and to stretch yourself, and to lean into the discomfort and see what happens, because
I
it's
don't know
usually
if I
just
ever
magic.
told you this. I don't know if I ever told you the story of this one pivotal point in my life when I had started dating my partner, and cool guy, but in the back of my head, I already had these plans. I was going to go into the Peace Corps. I had already, filled out all the paperwork, and I was just waiting for like the final interview to be assigned. And in the meantime, I met this guy, and we weren't, neither one of us wanted anything serious. But as life happens, I thought he was pretty funny, and he thought I was pretty funny. And so now we were like 6 months into this thing. And the date of my interview was assigned to me, and I had to decide, was I going to leave for 3 years, go to the Peace Corps and dump this relationship? Or was I going to let go of the Peace Corps and try this relationship thing out, And I had just come off a 15-year relationship 2 years earlier. So I was like not in the mood to go be in another long-term relationship. But funny goes a long way. And the question that I asked myself, and this is how I made my decision, is which is more terrifying? Is it scarier to go live in Tibet and teach English, not wash my hair, but once a month? Or is it scarier to put myself out there and be in a new relationship and see what happens, totally unknown, doing the thing that I swore I wasn't going to do, be in a big relationship, And obviously you all know that's how I chose. I ended up, picking my partner, and we've been together 20 years, and we have 4 kids and grandkids and all the beautiful things, and I'm so glad that that's the choice I made, although I still need to go do that Tibet trip before I die, because I did promise myself that. But I've always found excitement in the terror, you know what I mean? Excitement in the fear. Just like when I counsel clients for boudoir photo shoots, I always say, you shouldn't feel scared. You should feel excited and nervous, but that same excitement of like riding a roller coaster. Like, it feels like it's going to be a really big deal, but you're excited about it because it's going to stretch you, and you're safe and it's going to be okay. But enjoy that little bit of tingling that you're like, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen. Here we go. Because I always find that there's some growth on the other side of that. There's always some leveling up on the other side of that. So, and the last message I wanted to say, we were talking earlier about transitions. Don't be afraid to try a bunch of things on. You know, we have this idea in our head that you're supposed to pick one thing and then stick to it and become an expert in this one thing, right? Whether it's being a mom or being in a relationship or being in a certain career or whatever it is. Like when you shed your PT label, you know, like that was a big deal, you know, and try all the things and do all the things, and don't be afraid to say, is this me? And then sit in it and be like, no, that didn't feel right. How about this? Is this me? And see what feels good, and acknowledge that there's an evolution. Acknowledge that you're not the same person you were when you were 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or whatnot. You get to evolve. And isn't that the blessing? Isn't that the joy of life, that you're evolving? That thank God I don't have the same problems today that I had when I was 20. How boring would that be, right? Like,
Right.
no, I want every, you know, be careful what you wish for. I've said I want every day to be exciting. I want every door I step through to lead me to a new adventure. Holy crap, have I done that? So
Yeah.
anyway, as much as I will miss these little morning moments, I am excited to take a little time and create new things. And I'm excited to watch you grow more than anything else. And I'm excited for the ministry. So thank you guys so much for listening to me all these years. Hopefully I haven't bored you too much. And yeah, I'll see you on the flip side, I guess.
Yay. I'm definitely going to miss these Tuesday mornings as well. And just a heads up to the audience that the time will probably be shifting as well. But obviously, I will be posting that information out there. And if whatever time I choose isn't a good time that you're available, it's always lives out there in the internets for probably eternity. Um, you know, the thought that someone may be listening to this long after I'm gone is kind of an interesting thought as well. So who knows? But it's been such a good time doing this with you and creating all the things we've created. And yes, we will be creating more things together in the future, like maybe this food and fire retreat. Who knows what's coming next? And so yeah, stay tuned, everyone. And thank you again, Graciela. And thank you to our audience for listening. And this was season 5. Season 6 comes next. So stay tuned.
There you go. All right, guys. Love you all.